hate him.
Hey, Vsauce, Michael here. At the age of 18, Carl Sagan looked like a teenager. But it doesn't take long in an old high school yearbook to find teenagers who look surprisingly old. These people are all in their 20s, but so are these people. This is Elizabeth Taylor when she was just 17. And here are some high school students from the 70s. Did people used to look older? Brandon McCarthy asked on Twitter, and evidence poured in. People shared photos of their parents in their early 20s, their dad at 21, their mom at 18 or 19, their dad at 45. One user shared their husband at 27 and what his father looked like at 23. And there's pretty much an entire subculture around how old footballers looked decades ago.
Yeah, but that
24.
It's like opposite for girls though. Like young girls nowadays look way older than they used to.
Yeah, well, there was that example.
Kind of shits on this whole thing.
No, there was this girl.
And here are some.
She was 17 there. And
high school students from
yeah,
the
but
70s.
And those girls.
I mean,
did people used to look
younger.
older? Brandon McCarthy asked on Twitter, and evidence poured.
And then like
their
this.
Dad at 21, their mom at
like that one. The fuck is that? She's 18 there.
Mm.
They don't have girls looking like that. I mean, they might look like, not 18, but this girl looks like she's 40.
18 or 19.
Yeah, I guess.
Their dad at 40. His father looked like at 23 decades ago. 24, 31, 33,
That's crazy.
27.
27.
It's not uncommon to think that there's something
more
grown up about the way people used to be. To look back and think that people seemed older at a younger age than they do now. Let's call it retrospect.
See, but the point that he makes later in the video is like you look at this like clip of all these like high schoolers and stuff. It's the style. Like if you it's the hairstyle, it's the shirt they're wearing. It's like, I mean, that guy might be like the most casual, but it's crazy.
People seemed older at a younger age than they do now. Let's call it retrospective aging. It doesn't happen to everyone. People do not and never have aged similarly. And there's even the opposite observation that kids never have.
Like, so he still makes the argument that, like, anything could happen at any time. Like, that guy's 52 on the right. And, but it's still just like, even though anything can happen, it's still like a trend.
Have aged similarly. And there's even the opposite observation that kids these days grow up too fast. But it's a popular question and subject of numerous memes. So, is it real? Or is it an illusion fueled by cherry-picked examples that feeds rosy nostalgia for a time when people were tough and didn't have it as easy as you kids have it now? Well, as it turns out, both. Humans today really are aging more slowly than their historic counterparts. Changes in lifestyle, nutrition, smoking habits, healthcare, early life conditions, and skincare, particularly the use of sunscreen, are a huge part of it. By comparing measures of metabolic, cardiovascular, inflammatory, kidney, liver, and lung function across time, researchers at Yale and USC have found that we are, in fact, staying younger for longer than we used to. So does that mean that 60 is the new 50? Almost. Their results suggest that between the early 90s and the late 2000s, 60 became the new 56. 40 became the new 37 and a half, and 20 became the new 19.
That's weird.
Oh, also, during the last century, dentistry and
I would think it would be a little bit more like how he said 40, 50, but it's a lot smaller.
Have played a huge cosmetic role in the kinds of faces we see in parts of the world. But, interestingly, When faces in magazines are measured from the 1930s to today, the only significant change has been that across all ethnicities, the media is now exposing us to larger lips. Also, retroactive aging can occur over short time spans. When I was a freshman, the seniors in my high school seemed so old to me.
Yeah, that's like, this is a good point too, because it's like, same thing when you look at like, when you're in first grade and you look at the fifth graders, or you're in sixth grade and you look at the eighth graders.
But by the time I was a senior myself, I looked in the mirror and at my peers and I was like, we're them now, but we don't seem as old as they did. What's going on isn't just about bodies. First of all, the seniors I looked at when I was a freshman truly were older than me at that time. They graduated and went away, and later, when I was a senior, I saw myself as I was. But in my mind's eye, I saw the earlier seniors as they appeared to me when I was younger. Retrospective aging seems to also be about perspective. Let's go back to this tweet. This is George Wendt playing Norm on the TV show Cheers. Now, when Cheers premiered, Wendt was indeed 34, but I looked it up, and this image is actually from episode 24 of season 5 when Wendt was 38. So we're not comparing apples to apples here. However, this is an image of George Wendt at 34, and Ashley
This is a good point too.
Fairbanks made some alterations and a good point. However, here's the rub. These alterations don't make Wendt look more like a 34-year-old.
It's crazy.
They make him look more like a 34-year-old today. Similarly, giving the Golden Girls modern...
Like, don't the pictures on the right, like, he could, he could pass for like a, like, it's weird. He does look like someone that would be 34 today, but like, it's crazy.
Today. Similarly, giving the Golden Girls modern-day hairstyles and makeup drops their apparent age a lot.
Yeah, that's kind of, I mean, there's a lot of editing in there too with their faces, but
hairstyles and makeup drops.
That's kind of a thing too. You just put like a different hairstyle on them.
Apparent age a lot. Superficial styles and mannerisms can often make not just a big difference, but all the difference, which supports the hypothesis that retrospective aging is often an illusion. Modes of self-expression are always changing. Clothing, hairstyles, accessories, makeup, mannerisms, language, body language. Now, modes can come back, but never exactly. The context is always a little bit different. And from what's available or acceptable at any one time, we each draw ways of appearing or being in the world. And even if you don't care about how you look or think about how you act, what options you even have are dictated by what's currently popular or normal or being pushed on people like you. Few of us stay at the stream, drawing what's new all our lives. For various reasons, we often wander away with our catch. Perhaps it's because we settle into an identity we're comfortable with, or fear the taboo of not dressing our age, or simply run out of time to care. But when we're gone, the stream keeps changing, and we get older and continue to use the mannerisms and styles we grabbed a while back. Eventually, to whatever those styles initially evoked, a new connotation is added. Old person. Not because
old person
look or behavior is intrinsically for the elderly, but because those who use it, us, became old ourselves. If you want to look older, what do? Well, you can dress the way older people dress. And the thing is, that's often how they used to dress too. We think people looked older in the past because they look the way old people do today. Dale Irby, a gym teacher at Prestonwood Elementary School in Dallas, Texas, posed for his first yearbook photo in 1973. The following year, he accidentally wore the same outfit again. He says he was embarrassed.
I like his mustache.
At first, but his wife Kathy challenged him to do it again. So he did. And he never stopped. What he gave us is a great...
He never stopped.
...exaggerated example of how what once connoted youth comes to be associated with old age.
So it's like... Yeah, it's just crazy. It's like it's the same outfit. So you could really see the difference.
The people we keep seeing a style on get older and older themselves until we think of the style itself as being for old people. Retrospective aging, then, is double-pronged, both real and illusory. People in the past really did age faster than us because of differences in nutrition and lifestyle and medicine.
there was a very small factor to it with, like, you know, just lifespan and you know, the things we have today and stuff.
But much, if not most, can be chalked up to the fact that we think people like this are dressed like old people. But that's an anachronism. They're dressed like old people from the future. The old people they would become. Has anyone ever dressed like a young person from the future?
This is crazy too. This is gonna blow your mind.
Well, it happened in 1941 at the reopening of the South Fork Bridge in Canada. A crowd came out to celebrate and photos were taken. In 2010, the photos were
Music is tripping me out too.
digitized and placed online. That's when this guy was noticed. A time-traveling hipster.
This is the famous photo of, like, people said this guy's a time traveler. And, like, look at that guy. This is a picture from the 1940s. And then he goes into it. It's crazy.
Why a time traveler wouldn't bother to blend in, and why, with all of history to visit, he chose the reopening of a bridge in the 40s, no one knew. The photo was confirmed to be undoctored, and researchers put forward the idea that this man was not, in fact, a time traveler, that his shirt wasn't an ironic screen print, but simply bore the logo of the Montreal Maroons, a nearby hockey team at the time. They said his sunglasses and knit sweater were not unusual for the 40s, nor was his portable camera. The only thing that was unusual about him was how casual his attire was. And they're probably right. But this all raises the exciting possibility that someone out there right now, possibly even you, is unknowingly dressed like people in the future will, and your appearance in photos will someday freak them out. You know, it might be fun to start dressing even more casually or in some other odd way on the off chance that you happen to nail it, and years from now you are worshipped as a time traveler. Oh, that reminds me of today's sponsor. Hi, I'm Michael Stevens.
Yeah, everyone's gonna be dressed like Kanye West.
Yeah, with, like, fucking rags.
You'd be like, look, Kanye the time traveler.
Yeah.
Easy.
Drain the entire contents.
It's gonna be like the people that wear, like, you know, fucking, I don't even know, because it's so, how could you evolve? I guess you wouldn't know how to, like, if you were in the 1960s or 50s, you'd be like, what's more than jeans? Like, what else can you have besides jeans? And then, like, I mean, obviously, like, khakis were around and stuff, but, like, you know, people wear khakis like I do. Like, I don't wear jeans. I only wear, like, the non-jeans. I only wear khakis and stuff like that. And I like corduroy, too, but fucking, it could just be, like, that. Like, wearing, like, a fucking, being hipster now in 50 years is gonna look like we're gonna look like old people wearing our, I don't know, it's like trippy.
Greed is good, more like greed is wet.
And then he was saying that, like, some people out there, like, you know, doing weird fashion trends or stuff, like that guy was in the 1940s. Like, he was just He was definitely like an outlier. Everyone had like suits and fucking hats on. He just had like casual shit. But I don't know how you could point that out in like our culture now, because there's no examples of the future. Like we can look at that guy and be like, whoa, he looks like a guy you'd see like now. But then like we'd have to be in 2050 to look back and be like, wow, that guy looks like someone now. It's like crazy. So maybe, I don't know, like, you know, like fucking Conrad, how he just loves like crazy shit like that. That could be possibility, but that would also be weird, because it doesn't even like, it's more of like a weird style. Like I feel like always, even throughout the 50s and 60s and 70s, there was like weird styles like that weren't like the definitive casualness, but you know, there was always people doing weird stuff, wearing like fucking stuff.
Seeds from the Vsauce Curiosity Box go directly to Alzheimer's.
Get out of here.
For free with open arms. Whoa! And open.
Oh yeah, that scared me.
Wow. Whoa! Who's that guy? Does he look like a Bill, a Mark, a Justin, or a Josh?
See, I said Justin or Josh. I was like, to me, that's Justin or Josh. All day, Justin or Josh. It's a J for sure. What would you say?
It doesn't matter. It could be any of them.
Yeah, it could, but like, what do you think?
There's no like connection. There's nothing to. There's no like.
I don't know. My instinct, like I didn't like.
It's like saying what's his favorite color. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but at the same time, there is an instinctual thing. Like it could be anything, but you could just make it.
Not. His name's definitely not Laquan or anything like that.
Yeah, but
that's all I know.
But what do you think it is? When I saw it, I was just drawn. I was just like, I didn't think it was Justin or Josh, but I was definitely drawn to those more than Mark or Bill, just by looking at them. It's just like looking at someone like seeing like Jake or something and be like, damn, you don't look like a Jake. You look like a fucking Bobby. Like I've always said that about like our group in high school and stuff. I forgot. Someone had like someone was just like, we used to make fun of or something because their name just didn't fit them, but whatever. I thought it was Justin or Josh, like hands down, and then he completely flips it.
Pause right now if you'd like to think about it.
And says this is a fucking Mark.
According to research from Millsap, or at least,
and I was like,
this is
Mark.
What we think people named Mark look like. By asking people to make and rate digitally created faces, researchers were able to put together prototypical faces for a number of different names. This is apparently what we think a Josh looks like.
Weird though, because you can do the same thing, but with like audio. Like if you make someone say something and just be like, what do you think that guy's name is? I just said something.
Yeah.
Based on his voice.
Yeah, you could probably do that too.
Like if you had a deeper voice, I would think his name's more like a Mark or a Bill. Or just for some reason, I don't know why.
Yeah. These things are weird too. Like I don't know if I agreed with all of these, but I definitely thought it was like weird.
Bill, a Justin, a Dan.
It's all like the same person, just computer generated.
A Brian, a Tom, an Andy.
I was just like, I mean, I'm with you. Like, I don't think so, but at the same time, I do kind of connect a little bit with the like Bill, like the Bill being like somewhat just like a fat guy for some reason, and then like Dan, seeing Dan for some reason fits, but the rest of them I don't really see. Maybe even like Tom a little bit, because I don't know, for some reason it's just like I wouldn't think every Tom looks like that, but it's just with this comparison, the way he shows it on screen, I think like Bill, Dan, and Tom are like whatever, but the rest of them, I mean, he could be anything.
The idea that names might conjure certain face shapes in our minds isn't that strange. For example, there's Wolfgang Kohler's famous finding that when asked which of these shapes is named Booba and which is named Kiki, people...
What? I mean, I would say, yeah. I mean, rounder is Booba, and fucking the jagged edge is Kiki.
Of all different ages and cultures and languages,
that's what I would say.
Overwhelmingly assign Kiki to the spiky one and Booba to the blobby one. And sure enough, it certainly seems to work with names too. Which one of these men is Tim and which is Bob?
Oh, Tim the fucking Tat Man on the right. Oh wait, no. Yeah, he could be a Bob though. He could be a Tim or a Bob. But the man on the right, the man on the left, he could be anyone. I think the man on the right is Tim and Bob. And the man on the left is somebody else. But that guy does look like Tim the Tat Man.
Almost unanimously, people feel like this is Tim and this is Bob. But are these men actually named Tim and Bob?
No.
Well, there's the rub. Just because we associate certain names, certain sounds, with certain shapes, doesn't mean we're right. There's no such thing as a biological name. If a person still goes by the same name they were given as a baby, long before anyone knew what they would look like as an adult, well, surely there won't be a connection. But as it turns out, there is.
Wait, what did he say? He said babies, giving a baby name somehow works?
Still goes by the same name they were given as a baby, long before anyone knew what they would look like as an adult.
Oh, yeah.
Well, surely
that's
there won't be
crazy.
a connection. But as it turns out, there is. Believe it or not, in a multiple choice setting, people can guess a stranger's name just by looking at their face. More often than we would expect from luck alone. It's called the face name matching effect. Here's a stimulus from Zwebner's research. Do you think this man is named Jacob, Dan, Joseph, or Nathaniel?
I want to say Nathaniel. What do you think? I don't think he's a... I mean, he could be a Jake, but not a Jacob. Jacob. What do you think?
Joseph.
Joseph.
By just randomly picking a name, people should get this right 25% of the time.
I feel like that's possible too, just because he doesn't look 100% American. Like, he looks like he might have some... I don't know, like Turkish or like maybe like a...
He has a little Joseph in him.
Yeah, like Joseph. He could be a Joseph.
Found that people picked the correct answer, Dan, nearly 40% of the time.
Sure.
What's going on?
Sure, I guess.
Can names actually cause us to grow to look a certain way? Well, apparently they can. It has been called a Dorian Gray effect. In Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray, a portrait of the protagonist ages and grotesquely reflects his evil deeds while he himself remains young and pure-looking. In a similar way, it seems that in some cases, our own appearance can come to reflect the name we were given. But I kind of think it's really more of a reverse Dorian Gray effect. I mean, in the book, Dorian's reality affects the appearance of his portrait, but the face name matching effect goes the other way. An inanimate sign, a name, influences our actual physical appearance. Well, anyway, it's not news that a person's name can lead others to have certain expectations of them and treat them accordingly. It's been found, for example, that multiracial faces given European names are rated as looking more European than the same faces are when presented with non-European names. The expectations a name carries with it may create a self-fulfilling prophecy, whereby as a person grows up, they're motivated to fulfill those expectations, carry themselves in ways people think someone with their name should, and even like, dislike, accentuate, hide, use, and avoid different parts of their face and body depending on whether or not those parts match their name. It's been found that faces and names that match are emotionally liked more than faces and names that don't. Analysis of voting
You'll like a
data
person
has
more
shown
if they match.
that senatorial candidates earn 10% more votes when their names fit their faces very well than when they fit very poorly. Now, with that in mind, part of the effect.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. It's just like a brand, though, at that point. Like, if your name's fucking Ron Paul, and you look like fucking a Ron Paul.
Fact that although parents don't know what their kid will look like as an adult, the parents do know what they look like, and without knowing it, tend to prefer names that match their faces, which are likely to resemble their child's face as well. But not always. If the dissonance is too great, a person can always change their name, either completely or by simply choosing a nickname. If I had been just a little bit different, Michael, could have always gone by Mike. The fact that people can adjust their names to fit them.
Yeah, that's true. If like maybe he felt like more of a Mike, be a Mike, but he's a Michael. He's a fucking Michael.
Really strengthens the face name matching effect. By studying whether the correct name could be guessed when different parts of a face were occluded, researchers were able to develop heat maps showing which parts of the face different names are most characteristically associated with. Apparently, looking like an Anne is all about the tip of the nose. It's the bridge of the nose for Arthurs.
What the fuck?
And the philtrum, or snot trough, for Benjamins. Aurélies are recognized by
what the?
Their face spiders.
Aurélie?
Let's go back to old people. How old is an old person? 73.7. That's according to results published in the Journal of American Geriatrics last year. It's the average age people gave when asked, when does old age begin? People
73.
under 65 on average said 71, and people over 65 on average said 77. Women said old age began 3 years
I mean,
later.
everyone at that age, unless they're like falling apart, they're gonna say older. Because they're gonna be like, well, I feel good now, so I'm just gonna like put 10 years above this. Like, that's when I'm gonna be old, I guess.
Than men did. White people said it began 8 years later than non-whites did.
What?
And people who felt healthy placed old age later in life than those who felt
Oh, of course,
less
that's
healthy.
like, because if you're 71 at the time and you're like, I'm not old, I'm fine, I could walk, I could fucking. So you're gonna say like 81 or something. But if you're 61 and you feel and you got like pains and aches and stuff, be like, I'm old, man, I'm old. Then maybe you're gonna say like 68 or something, or 70.
Healthy. But how old do people want to be? Well, that depends on how old they already are. In America, the only people who are the age they would like to be are 21-year-olds. People younger than 21 wish they were older, and people older than 21 wish they were younger. People who are 40 wish they were 30.
Oh, yeah.
People who are 60 wish they were 40, and people who are 90 wish they were 60.
Now he's just like
When people are
generalizing
asked if they could
everyone
be
in the
one
world.
age forever,
Like everyone's
the
the
average
same.
American picks.
Yeah, that was
36.
pretty.
One.
I mean, that was pretty like there wasn't much.
40?
There wasn't much science behind that. I mean, like freaking. Like that's something you could just tell. Like you'd be like, what kind of 40-year-old wants to? Like that's like the age where you're just where you feel like you hit that 40 number. You're like, oh, I wish I was 30. And then like people that, and the only time it changes is when you're a kid. Like you're like 12. And you're like, I wish I was 20 and I could do anything I want and drive around and drink, break the rules. But then like Yeah, it obviously gets higher. The gap gets bigger. So people when they're 80, obviously you're gonna wish that they were freaking 60 or 50. I mean, or any age below 80.
Wish they were 30. People who are 60 wish they were 40, and people who are 90 wish they were 60. When people are asked if they could be one age forever, the average American picks 36, which is actually how old I am right now, funny enough. Here's something else that's funny. Old people are more likely to think they dream in black and white. Not because it's part of the aging process, but because they are veterans of the great black and white dream epidemic of the 20th century. Prior to the 1900s, Aristotle, Descartes, Freud, everyone who wrote about the topic reported that dreams contained color. But as humanity moved into the 20th century, the number of people reporting color in their dreams dropped just as quickly as the popularity of new black and white movies and TV rose. By the 60s, as color TV and movies became more and more common, reports of colored dreams started going back up. And today, people who grew up with black and white TV continue to report more black and white dreams than those who didn't. And later studies
That's weird, but because out of all the dreams I've ever written down, I've never said anything about the color, if it was black and white or not. I guess I would notice, or I don't know.
Found the same thing. The frequency of black and white dreaming correlated strongly with how common black and white TV was in a person's area.
Go to sleep.
Did black and white
What?
Go sleep.
TV literally change our dreams? Well, first of all, it's not clear whether dreams themselves actually changed, or if people just started thinking differently about their dreams. We're trying, but we still haven't found a way to get direct access to dream content. Eric Switchable has pointed out that as far as we know, dreams may not be in color or black and white, or sepia or anything. They may be primarily indeterminate in color as they happen, and only later, during recall, do we confabulate details about color.
Yeah, I think that's...
He compares dreaming to reading. Is a novel in color or black and white? As you read a story, what...
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, if you're reading a story... Like, if I'm reading The Hunger Games, there's nothing visually saying that it has to have color, but then you just kind of attach it to it. They go, this tree is green.
See in your mind. It might be the case that dreams, vaporous as they are something we simply have a terrible grip on, and that movies and TV shows have given us the illusion of understanding them. In fact, Switchable has speculated that smells and touch sensations are rare in dreams today, but future people with smelly, touchy-feely VR shows might think that they dream with lots of textures and odors and find it strange, maybe even frightening, that few of us seem to. But why would we think that dreams were like moving pictures and not normal waking life? Well, no one knows. It might be that motion pictures are just simply the closest thing we have to dreaming that isn't dreaming. Unlike still images, paintings, photographs, tapestries, motion pictures and dreams can contain movement and narrative and cause and effect. And unlike stage plays or real life, motion pictures and dreams are not made of anything that is even remotely similar to what they depict. They're both made of phantoms. Images are uncanny things. A person in an image is frozen in time, but yet can seem to grow old. Our own image can depend on what we are called, and they're the closest thing we have to what our mind does when we're away. Do you get the picture? Or does the picture get you? And as always,
fuck you, Michael. Damn. That was good. randomly started talking about dreams at the end, but I guess it was good.